Chondro Corner where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind.
From the shadows we move, striking out bright. In every twist we find the light. Breeding the best, gotta have patience in this game. Chondro Corner where we make our name. Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner. Chondro Corner where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind. Every scale tells a tale, every clutch a dream. Working the grind, we reign supreme. In every corner, the potential's real. Chondro Corner, where we seal the deal. Chondro Corner, 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 Chondro Corner. When we scale tells a tale, every clutch a dream. Working the grind, we reign supreme. In every corner, the potential's real. Chondro Corner, where we seal the deal. Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind. Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind. Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind. Chondro Corner, 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 Chondro Corner.
What it do, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Chondro Corner here on this Monday night. We got a banger for y'all again tonight. We got my boy Tuck from Purple Rain Reptiles. But first and foremost, it's a special lady birthday today. It's my mother's birthday, so thank you, Mom, for being with me and just pushing me along throughout life. You always in my corner and all that stuff, and I love you for that. So happy birthday to you. Let's go ahead and see who in this chat real quick. Got my boy Dylan, these balls and exotics in the house. Thank you for your support. Thank you for coming through. We got my boy James. What's going on? What's going on, bro? And then you already know we got Big Huncho himself, Mike. What it do? We got the assassin of support. What's going on, Bosa? Big Bosa. Then got my boy Brian, Heathen Hatchery. What's going on, bro? How you doing? And then we got John. What's going on, More Forge? Hope everything is going good. Then we got my PIC. She do this episodes every other Monday along with me here on the Chondro Corner. We got Jen, everybody. What's going on, Jen? Cigar City Reptiles. Cigar City Exotics. Then we got my boy Phil. What's going on, Phil? How you doing, man? How was Atlanta? Oh, man, we got special guests in the house. What it do? What it do, man? Uncle Bill, the mayor of Chondro Town. What it do? And then we got Dundada, not Purple Rain Reptiles, but Purple Rain, man. Everything purple with this man. Then we got James B. What's good, James B? Oh, we got my boy Whiskey Warriors, Weekend Warriors. Got my boy T Keys in the building. We got Treatment Exotics. What it do? What it do? And then I think that's it. That's it. But so anyways, not much happening over here, in my hold up. We got my boy Pat. What's going on, Pat? Project Pat? Y'all was deep down in the comments, man. What it do? We got my boy Santos. What's going on? Then we got Fred. Hey, man, how that clutch doing, Fred? How that clutch doing? Let us know. You had that banger dreamsicle clutch. I need to see that, think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So like I said, ain't nothing much happening over here. Tomorrow I am picking up a new Neo, adding to, the collection from my boy Mikey Marsh. We're gonna go over that later. So in the morning I gotta go to FedEx, go pick up that. Hey, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun Neo, a project to work with. A lot of people, they hit me in my DMs and message me on the side. Hey, Ro, do you got any Neos available? Any Chondros available? Sadly, I don't. I haven't produced my first clutch of Chondros yet. I'll probably have some later, maybe next October. That's what I'm thinking. I don't want to pair, none of my Chondros yet until after the move in March, April timeframe next year, because I don't want it to, reset the females. So I think it'd be better to pair her once she settled in over in North Carolina. So that's what the plans is. But I do have some people that have Chondros available, some Neos. So available Chondros in our community. First we got my boy Mikey Marsh with M&M Chondros. So the sire is on the left side and the dam is on the right side. The sire is a Arfax sarong to a sarong, so it has those localities in it. And the dam is a cyclops, a pure cyclops. And there are the babies, the Neos right there. So hit up Mikey Marsh if you're interested in one of those. Next, we got my boy Ruben. You know what I'm saying? So his clutch was a pure cyclops clutch. The sire is on the left, the dam is on the right. That dam is fire. That thing is crazy. You can see the blues and all that stuff in it. I like the gray, silver eyes in the sire as well. Here's a picture of the Neo that's available. You already know, man. So if you interested, hit up my boy Ruben. These are pure cyclops. Again, to reiterate. And then we got my boy Chuck, Chill Chondros. So this is a pure Aru clutch. The sire is on the left, the dam is on the right. Y'all see the hormonal blue. I believe she's gonna keep that blue, honestly. So yeah, this is a pure Aru clutch. The sire is on the left, the dam is on the right. And these are the available Chondros, well, the available Neos that he have available. So hit my boy Chuck up if you're interested and all that good little stuff, man. With further ado, we're gonna bring my boy Tuck, Purple Rain Reptiles, everybody.
How's it going, everybody?
How you doing, bro? How's everything?
It's going really good. Took a nice long vacation over Thanksgiving, and so got back and kind of getting settled back in, getting back into the routine of everything. And it's nice to have a break and to get away, but it's also nice to get back into the groove. And I had a lot of exciting stuff happening literally the moment I got back, and so I can't complain. It's been really good. It's been a lot of fun. Life's been good, no complaints. And how have you been doing? How's everything going for you? I've seen a lot of your stories posting, hanging out in a lot of cool places and a lot of nice swimming pools I see.
Oh yeah, man. Probably like 3 weeks ago, I went to Cancun, for a little vacation, take some time away from the reptile community and the reptiles, because it can be a little draining sometimes, and plus work. So I took a little hiatus and went to Cancun, put my toes in the sand and stuff.
No, that's really nice. Just do what I do. I just live under a rock. I just go to work, come home, and hang out with the snakes and the family, and that's it. That's the same cycle, and I love it, and makes it easy. I'm terrible at catching up on a lot of podcasts and other things, and every time I sit down to start listening to stuff, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and my AirPods look awesome. And so it's just always a fight and always a battle. But
Mhm.
one of these days I'll have time to catch up on a lot of things and a lot of cool stuff. But in the meantime, it's also nice just to kind of enjoy what you got and to be able to see it every day, and to kind of be in that little bubble is also really nice. And um, it's nice to branch out into the social media world here and there, and I enjoy popping on. And aside from that, I love what I do too.
For sure, for sure. Hey, one moment. Hey, we got a super chat in the building. Hey, Chuck, appreciate it.
uh,
Hey, he
Shout
corrected
out to
me.
Chuck.
It's a mandatory Aru. It was a mandatory
Okay.
to Aru clutch. I thought it was pure Aru. My bad.
No, that was the one that was hatching. Was it earlier this year
Yeah,
or late
yeah.
last year? Because I remember he had a couple really nice clutches, and yeah, no, Chuck's been doing awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I remember when he first got Deep Blue, and now to see where he's at, he's grown quite a bit. It's a lot of fun to see it.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're gonna have him on the show later on. Well, early next year. So
Okay, there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's
So
gonna be a lot of
we're
fun.
gonna go ahead and go with your bio. How you got started, what brought you to this magnificent world of chondros.
Yeah, so I got my first chondro in 2011. Kind of getting into reptiles itself. That was a really long time ago. I was a little kid. I was fortunate enough where my parents kind of allowed me to explore and have a lot of different animals, and I've had a lot of cool stuff and stuff that I don't see anymore in the pet trade, which is kind of neat. And to be able to experience that as a kid, I guess definitely didn't appreciate it enough. Um,
Hmm.
but then, kind of step by step, I think my very first snake was a corn snake. It got out about a week after I got it, had it in a little 10-gallon tank, and those things are tiny, and it went right through the little corner of the screen lid. And um, yeah, I learned very, very quickly that they escape, and kind of went from there to my parents kind of felt bad, and so they got me a ball python. And
Hmm.
then like a week later, the corn snake came back, and then one snake turned into two snakes, and then it was, oh, um, this is cool. And at that point I was just some probably around 8, 9, 10 years old, and it was it was a lot of fun just kind of branching up and learning. And as I got into middle school, I started showing a lot of interest into arboreal stuff. The first thing we ever saw on a lot of books was emerald tree boas. That was kind of the popular green snake back then on a lot of books. And first thing you Google when you look up a green snake was typically an emerald tree boa back then. And now you get a
Right,
lot more of like green tree python stuff, but a lot of it was just an emerald tree boa. That was like the craziest thing, the beautiful green. Um, and so that's kind of was eye catching, and started talking to my dad about it. And we ended up buying two females, and one of them died like the first week after we got it. I mean, they were obviously imported animals. We paid, I think, like $225 per animal. um,
hmm,
so it was really, really cheap and a fun experience. And then I had that female for a really long time, about 3 years, and then I got a male and had him for a little while, and then I ended up trading the male for my first green tree python, and then since then it just kind of stemmed off, and it's always been green tree pythons. And I've had emeralds kind of here and there over the years. Back in, I think, 2017, I had a handful of them. I
right.
have one. I have one currently. Um, I don't think I've ever posted her on my page, but I do have one, and she's a lot of fun. I enjoy her, and she just hangs out. I don't know if I necessarily have plans to breed her. I just she reminded me of the very, very first one. And um, so she's kind of more sentimental of that was something my dad and I first really kind of dove into together, and really learning and experiencing and trying to kind of help me in. And so she looks a lot like the that first girl. And so I ended up buying her and was like, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy this one. I don't know if I really need to go through the stress of breeding it. I can just kind of see how it goes, enjoy her company, and maybe down the line, if I end up getting a male or something, then I might jump over that bridge. But for now, I'm happy with the chondro stuff. I enjoy that more than anything, and I have some ball python projects too that I'm working on, and So it's kind of nice. It's I got a healthy balance right now, and once I can get more space, it then it can expand. But right now, I'm playing Tetris with kind of what I got and where I have to put things and where things grow and where they need to be and how they need to be, and it gets it gets pretty fun in a small space for sure. Pretty soon though, I'd love to hopefully find something a lot bigger. But yeah, it's been a lot of years kind of keeping chondros, and a lot of my success now really kind of goes to stability, just kind of being in the same place. And a lot of my years keeping them, it was just kind of a lot of learning. And I was a little kid. I was 18, 19, 20, so I was moving a lot and trying to do things that were just kind of way above my grade, and didn't have that kind of personal mental stability, and also just the environment of just having to move a lot. And then went through a fun little divorce, and once that split happened, it's been nothing but phenomenal.
Don't we all?
And I don't mean it like to where it's anything bad on that end. It's just that was a lot of peace that really needed to happen, and as far as stability goes. And a lot of people, when they are struggling with a lot of other things, they're going to struggle in the reptiles too. It's just weird how it kind of works that way. And so once you kind of find that balance, everything will click. A lot of what happens with chondros is that stability, keeping them, in the same place, not moving a bunch, and kind of just doing similar things and not changing a lot of things up as far as your routine goes and as far as your cycling. And they catch on, and they end up doing really well. But you got to give them that first. And that was a lesson that was way too long for me to learn. And since then, it's, I've been very fortunate, and there's a lot of cool stuff that's been able to happen. And I've hatched a lot of really neat neos, and I've experienced twin neos, which is kind of cool. And to be able to experience that, I think on my first successful clutch back in 2021 it was phenomenal. I wish I had that experience now. I could probably do a lot better with the babies. I was, learning, as we all do. And I definitely wish I could have done things a little bit better, a little bit differently. I probably would have had a little bit more trust in the size of meals that they could have taken. And, who knows? But maybe one day I'll get another opportunity. And if it happens, cool. The mom of those babies is still here, and she just ovulated last week. And so she's about to have her third clutch with me, and she should be laying probably around like the first week of January, I want to say. I think her ovulation was like December 4th.
Man, y'all got clutches back
40 something. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a clutch happen on Wednesday. My buddy that was checking on the animals while I was visiting family in Utah, he texted me a picture Tuesday night about 6:30 p.m. and I was in the Denver airport. And I was watching the Trap Talk episode, and boom, I see the picture pop up, and I see she's laying eggs. And I was like, no way. She waited until like the day I was getting back. I was on my way home. And
literally,
so I'm just sitting in the Denver airport now, like, all right, like I'm ready to get home. I'm ready to go. Like, let's get this over with. Finally get home. Get everything situated. So it was like 1:30 in the morning at that point, and I'm pumped. I'm like, all right, eggs, let's see what we do. And this clutch, I was actually kind of curious how it would turn out, because last year they bred quite a bit. I think I recorded somewhere between 8 and 10 locks. They locked quite a bit. They did really good as far as breeding, building. Everything was just right on cue. And this year she actually went about 21 or 22 days sooner than she did last year. So I paired them last year in the end of August, I think is when I started them, or about mid-August. And they bred a couple times in August, a couple times in September, and then really heavy in October. And then she cut off food towards the end of October, ovulated mid-November, and then she laid her eggs Christmas Day. This year,
what a Christmas present.
Oh no, it was awesome. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was checking on her because I was like, all right, it's day 15. I hope she starts laying eggs. She'd been holding out. Boom, there it was. She had started laying sometime about 3:30 in the morning because there was only a couple eggs out. And that was a long wait too, just sitting on the couch drinking coffee, like, all right, I'm not gonna bug her. I'm just gonna let her do her thing
Yeah.
and just waiting. And at that point, everybody else was still sleeping on Christmas morning. So then you're staring at the tree like, I wish somebody was awake just so I could have a distraction. But it was a lot of fun. But this year they locked one time. I paired them the first week of September, and they locked up. And then a week later, she shed and tried to pair them. Didn't record any locks. I checked them all hours. Couldn't see anything. So I was like, all right, well, I don't think this is gonna happen. Which, it's not uncommon to breed a female back to back, and maybe she might
Right.
not go back to back.
Mhm.
But she turned off food in, I think, September, and I was like, what's going on? Because it was earlier than she had done last year. And then she ovulated October 22nd, and was the date that I have a picture of what I believe is her ovulation. Obviously it was. And then she ended up laying 14 perfect eggs. And last year she laid 14 good eggs and one slug. So
Mhm.
she did really good. I'm really happy with it. But it was off of just one lock, was just enough of what it needed. And when I paired them, I put them in about 8 a.m. in the morning, and by 10 a.m. they were locked up. And they were locked from about 10 a.m. all throughout the day into the evening. And I think they separated sometime between like 10 and midnight. And
Mhm.
and that was the one lock. That was it. And that's all it took. And so I'm really anxious to see kind of how it goes this year. Last year, out of those 14, we only got 9 babies. So this year I'm shooting for higher odds. Um, I think this year is going to be a lot better with them, but we'll see what happens. And then it just so happens on that same day is when the Jayapura female was ovulating, and so that's a really
Sheesh.
exciting pairing too.
You got them.
You
You
know,
got them coming, huh?
we'll see how it goes. Those haven't hit the ground yet, and the first clutch she ever laid, she gave 13 perfect eggs, or 12 perfect eggs, 13 babies.
Mhm.
And um, I gave her a year off, bred her again, and then she only gave me 5 healthy eggs, and 3 of those made the distance. 1 died in the egg, 2 hatched. But there was 15 total eggs. So I'm curious how this one goes. Um, I actually paired her back to her son from the 2021 clutch.
Mhm.
Um, I'm kind of seeing what I can do with that, just to see maybe if anything kind of funky or cool is within that. Mom is really neat. She's got this like beautiful golden eye on one side, and she's just got a lot of blue and this really dark head. And he was one of the best animals of the entire clutch. He was the darkest Neo, and he's
Mhm.
got a really nice dorsal pattern that's fully connected. And so, um, I don't know. I think breeding that back to mom, one time and getting those babies. I have another Jayapura female from Brian Latimer. Shout
Mhm.
out to Brian, Lucky
Oh yeah.
Leviathans, and
Mhm.
awesome guy. And I
Just
have Danielle here,
a few weeks
and
ago, actually.
yeah, and I was just talking to him the other day. Danielle has been here for quite a while now, and so we're getting ready to start working on that. And I would like to cross, that Jayapura stuff with that Jayapura stuff down the line, and just kind of keep working those bloodlines and kind of working that Jaya stuff and seeing kind of what we can come up with that. And one of the steps that I really wanted to do is potentially breed a baby back to mom to I like how Garrick from House of Blue put it, is refining the bloodline.
Gary, man, shout
Um,
out.
yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to Garrick.
Gary.
He's been doing some phenomenal stuff. He produces some phenomenal animals, and um, I like that term of just refining, and that's kind of how I look
Yes,
at it, is just
exactly.
refining what she is and taking it back. And I would love to see twins out of that clutch. That would just be a kind of a really funny coincidence of, he's a sibling to that clutch, she's the mom to that. What
Mhm.
are the odds of maybe that could be a possibility? That would be fun. um,
Yeah.
but I'm
So
anxious to
let's
see that.
Yeah, so let's get into pairings. Like, what do you look for in your, in your collection with pairings? How do you come up with your pairings?
So a lot of my stuff, I have locality and some designer stuff. Most of my designer stuff is, Bill Stiegel's Jaeger sickness stuff.
Shout out to
Um,
the mayor.
Shout out to the mayor. He knows how to do it, and he's produced some amazing stuff as well. And there's a lot of incredible chondro breeders. It's you can't even really put a name on any of them because they're all doing amazing stuff in their own way. Everybody's producing crazy stuff in their own way. That's kind of just the beauty of it is there's really no competition in chondros. It's everybody's doing something a little different, and that's why it's so much fun to learn about it. But as far as pairings go, I will blab, so my apologies. So I have locality and designer stuff. I do have goals of making pure locality things. One
Yeah.
of those is mainly Jayapura stuff. I do not see a lot of people working pure Jayapura stuff, and so that's something I would really like to hone in on, continue producing that. But for the most part, aside from Jayapura stuff and Cyclops, I do have a Cyclops female here from Kino. I would
Shout,
like to breed her to something designer. I would love to pair her to, you know, the sickness Sid male that I have from, the Bill IS 1813. Um,
mhm.
I would love to see what that would do. Um, Bill did the sickness to blue Cyclops, and that ain't nothing. My pairing ain't nothing to that caliber, but it would be cool to kind of breed that and just to kind of see what this pairing would do, what this would produce, and you just never know what you might hit, and that's kind of my struggle is this year and next year. Kind of a lot of my pairings, I want to keep a lot of it, and I kind of need to see what I want to do. A lot of this is kind of my future in the chondro stuff, and so um, as exciting as all these pairings are, I'm also kind of dreading it because I know I'm going to have to keep a lot of them for for a lot of years until a lot of them change, a lot of them can be sexed, and I can kind of hold back the stock that I want. That's going to be my future foundation to kind of continue what I want to do, and um, so it's hard because a lot of these pairings are great building blocks, but a lot of them are just pieces to help make the building blocks that I'm really after, um, and now I'm starting to hit those building blocks, and I'm like, all right, crap, I got to keep a lot more, and I've had a lot of people hit me up. I've been fortunate that people have purchased a lot of Neos from me, and um, now I need to keep a lot of them, and so I need to break a lot of hearts of saying no. And I usually am the easiest person to talk out of chondros. Is somebody hits me up and be like, "You got anything for sale?" And I'm like,
Chuck
"Man,
a
what do you
hoarder,
know?"
man.
Like,
Chuck will hoard everything.
"Oh yeah, he does." And so I just always look at stuff and I'm like, "Do I need you?" Yeah, I think I do. I
Yeah.
got to do this
Hmm.
and this, and so, but it makes you think every once in a while. But there's some stuff that I definitely I'm growing up some holdbacks that I got to keep those, and I love those, and that's why I don't post them very much. And um, if I don't want it to go anywhere, I just don't post it because it's a lot easier when people don't see things and then they don't
Yeah,
ask you about them, and
exactly.
and then you're like, cool, I don't have to deal with that.
Because then they'll throw you maybe, they'll throw you a few hundred more, than you offer, than it's going
Oh
for.
yeah,
You're like,
no, it
you
happened
you take
earlier
them
this year. I had somebody buy two really nice Neos from me, and they were like, "What about this one?" And I was like, "What about it? Like, I
everything got
didn't
a
post
price.
that one." And yeah, and they ended up getting three Neos, and that was the
Oh
end of the
man.
story. And so it was cool, and I'm really happy for them, and they're turning out really nice. And it's great stuff that I love putting in and putting animals in other people's collections too. I mean, to see my animals to thrive and grow, and shout out to Mike 1776.
Oh yeah,
He's
for
got two
sure. And
animals
Mike is
from
a good
me,
dude.
and oh, he's phenomenal. And, he's got two animals for me that are growing and doing good for him. And I think he ended up with 1.1 from my first Jaya clutch.
Hmm.
Or maybe it was two females. I couldn't remember. I know for sure he got one female. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm happy for him. He's built a great collection. And so I'm excited to see what he breeds with that animal because guess what? That was something I produced. And so I get to kind of play a little part in that of cool, you know,
Mhm.
maybe I might want to do something that way and breed something that direction just to see if I can produce something cool like that. Um, you know, I wish I had all the Beox and Waminas I could possibly have just to try to
Literally.
recreate insanity. Um, you know, just to try to make that chondro again would be pretty epic, and um, I would have a whole collection of those just to be doing that pairing over and over and over just to see what it would be, and um, you know, and that's the awesome thing about them is they're so rare and so they're just little diamonds. Each animal is amazing in itself. They're all different, and you know you never hit two of the same, and so to be able to enjoy and cherish those, and you know, people that have those incredible chondros, it's definitely a privilege because um, they all don't look the same, they all always don't end up like that, and um, you know, it's nice that a lot of people don't take that for granted, and chondros are just one of those species that are just every single one of them is special,
Right.
even the
So
plain green ones.
are you more of like a locality dude or a designer dude?
Oh, if I had a choice, it would be completely designer. If I if I if
Hey,
I
I
had
feel
to
you. I
restart like
understand. I
right
can understand
now,
why.
I would I would go that direction because I mean, to be honest, the first thing that really attracted me was Rico's page, and you know, seeing 05188, a picture of that animal, and you're going like, that's possible? What?
Right.
And as soon as you see something like that, how do you not fall in love with it and be like, I want to make that? Um, you know, I would love to be able to produce something along those lines, and um,
Hmm.
that's kind of a lot what I strive for. Is you know, I was telling MJ, I'm not breeding to produce the greenest snake, that's for sure.
Right.
I'm just breeding to try to produce something really
We got
unique and
enough of
something
those.
cool, and um, you know, I just want to make something crazy and be like, cool, I made that. I love it,
Yeah.
and I want to enjoy it and watch it grow, and maybe one day reproduce. And you know, for that male, that 21 male, that's the first chondro I've ever produced that hopefully now might reproduce for me. So that's a cool milestone for me. You know, that's a big mark that I wanted to hit, was to be able to breed something that I've
Definitely.
produced in the chondro world. And now my goal is to breed a female, and to see a female that I've, you know, hatched from an egg, grew up to an adult, and to see her wrapped on eggs. Like, those are major goals for me. You know, hatching all these animals is phenomenal, but to kind of see that mile marker for me is that's the goal I'm really after, is to see something that, you know, I helped create, and now it's I'm also helping it create more life, and that's just a kind of a special thing. And so this male, this whole pairing, that's a really special one. I'm really excited for. Um,
Hmm.
I get really attached to these. I love these things. They're freaking awesome.
Yeah, no,
It's
the
hard
same
not to
here.
love
Bro. They,
them.
they like my little babies. I walk in the room every morning. I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? You know?
Oh, yeah, I'm in this room. I walk in here probably, I don't even know how many times a day. It's terrible. All my stuff is see through, so that way, like, I don't have to bother anything. I could just walk in, peek at everything. I can see everything where it's at, and that's kind of how I like things. Because if I don't have to disturb them, I don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah.
make them stressed out for any reason. I love when they poop. I love that because I get to interact with them. I get to check them out. Aside from that, I really don't try to. I might pull them out for a picture here and there, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Just to
enjoying
make
their
sure
peace.
everything gets good with them. Yeah, just to check
Mm-hmm.
them. Real. Yeah.
100%.
So walk us through how you get your females ready, cycling. How do you cycle?
So what I do is I do a yearly temperature drop. So I don't change my temperatures a whole lot. I give them somewhere between 83.5 to 84-degree hot spot under the panel. And then at night it drops somewhere between 77 and 78. That's usually my kind of year-round cycle. I don't drop them any lower than that. What I do is I food cycle a lot of my females. Um, how I food cycle is a little different because I don't completely cut them off food. What I do is I basically will feed them females like once a month.
Hmm.
You know, I typically feed things every 2-ish weeks. Um, I don't have a set schedule. It's typically whichever weekend I'm going to be the most free. And some weekends I'm not free, and I'll thaw rodents in the morning. And then by my lunch break, I'm popping home and I'm, you know, feeding this part of the collection, so that way when I get home I can feed another part of the collection after work, and I'll have to balance things out like that.
Hmm.
The neos I typically always feed during the day on like my lunch breaks, or early morning right before work. Right as the sun's coming up, I typically go in and I start feeding. Um, I have a lot of success feeding either early in the mornings or in the afternoons. In the evening time, I haven't found a whole lot of success with it, at least in my collection and how my room is. I also don't use lights in my cages. It's all, I have a giant window in the reptile room, and so they get natural day and night schedules. As the sun comes up, they're waking up. As the sun goes down, they're awake too. And so this winter time is always a lot of fun because then they're active as soon as I'm off of work. It's starting to get dark, and they're starting to get used to it now with the time change, and so
Right.
um, I get to enjoy a lot more of them. But I typically don't get a whole lot of breeding during the winter time, except for the ball pythons. Um, for the
Hmm.
chondro, for two chondro clutches during the winter time, it's the Biak. I was kind of expecting that just because it was the time that she went last year, and I just kind of kept her on that same cycle and just she
Hmm.
actually went back to Dylan's house in February, right after the eggs hatched. He came down, picked up his part of the clutch and the female because he wanted to establish them, and he did a phenomenal job. He did
Shout out
great,
to
and
my, yeah, shout out my boy
shout out to
Dylan.
Dylan. Yeah, I mean, he's an awesome guy, and he's done some awesome work with his babies, and some of them are in people's collections now, and so it's kind of cool to see all that come full circle where he gets to enjoy part of that too, and to kind of see that, and hopefully round two is going to be significantly better, and we have some more fun with it, and we had some really cool neos in the last batch that didn't make it, and so I would love to potentially see what that clutch bears. That's significant to Biak, and so far the babies that have come out of that pairing have turned out really, really nice. The yellow neos are turning out so far probably the best.
Hmm.
They're looking like they could potentially go some really nice high yellow, really digital kind of green and yellow speckles, and so it's kind of a lot of fun to see the directions they're going. Now that they're hitting about that 8 month mark, they're really starting to change quite a bit. Some of them are still a little slow, but um, it's a lot of fun. But to go back to your question, as far as conditioning females go, um, so yeah, the way I food cycle is I typically feed the females once a month, and then I'll start pairing them for
So what are you
like
feeding them? Are you feeding them like mediums, smalls?
so I'll give them a small rat.
Hmm.
I'll give them a small rat typically once a month, or maybe a little bit bigger than a small, but not quite a medium. So a
Yeah,
schmedium, something right in that kind of middle mark.
got
Um,
you.
I'll give them one of those. But aside from that, I'm not doing anything too crazy. They're just chilling, getting fresh water, drinking, doing their thing. They're all pretty crazy food aggressive, and so um, once I start pairing them, it's always dicey because the males, they're always like they're off food typically, and they're like, cool, like I'm ready to go. They've been cruising their cages, and once I start seeing the males go nuts, then I'm like, all right, things are starting to
Right.
happen. One of you, of the six females that I have in here, one of you is building, and then it's kind of fun playing the game of who and which ones as far as what you're cycling. And there's some animals that I've cycled and tried to do things, and nope, nothing, not any interest whatsoever. And that's also kind of sometimes the way it goes. But the way that the Jaya pairing happened, I actually wasn't even trying to cycle her whatsoever, because she typically always ovulated in August. Her
Hmm.
last two clutches, she ovulated in August. So I had no intentions of breeding her during the winter time because I knew she typically went in the summer. I tried this summer and she didn't go. And so I was like, all right, well, I gave her a year off the first time. So I just imagined it would be the same thing. But she took a really big poop and cleared out her system. And so I took her out and I was holding her, and I could see just a nice big lump in her stomach. And I was like, you're building follicles.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
time to go.
that's
It's time to
that's
get
100% like she's building.
there.
And so I put the male in, boom. Um, they ended up breeding 6 or 7 times. They bred 4 days straight, and And then a month after I paired them, she ovulated, and which is
Right.
pretty similar to what she did her very, very first time. I paired them July 3rd, and she ovulated August 13th. So a
Oh,
little over a month.
yeah.
So I'm
A
kind of
little bit.
nervous. She built pretty fast, but she was already building quite a bit. So, um,
Mhm.
that one I just kind of got pretty fortunate. I didn't do any type of cycling as far as food, temperatures. I was
Mhm.
just feeding her naturally. She had her day and night temperatures. Um, and then once I noticed that and she started locking, I didn't even get an opportunity to feed her weekly at that point. She started breeding, and then I fed her again. And then after that, she went off food. She didn't want
Right.
another meal, and I was like, "Cool, it's go time." And then she ovulated, and so we'll see. She's looking a lot better this year than she did the second year when she gave
Mhm.
me more slugs than she did healthy eggs. She's looking a lot more kind of like the first year, but definitely bigger. Um, so we'll kind of see what happens with that. I'm really anxious and excited. But as far as the BIA goes, it was more along that cycle. Once they start breeding, um, then I'll start breeding them for about 3 weeks without food. And then typically after that point, I'll start feeding them weekly. Once I can get like a solid few locks without food, um, then I'm pretty happy with it just because they get some good breeding activity. They are not digesting food and, kind of worrying about that. They're working on building and growing. And then so once they've kind of been breeding for those 3-4 weeks, once you start hitting that female with food, she should already be building follicles to a degree, hopefully at that point, to where it might only be a meal or two,
Right.
or it might be a handful and then she ends up going. But I do believe to some degree they do need food, to build follicles. I think they need some type of supply of food. So I don't really. I've stopped cutting them off completely. I tried the whole 3 months with no food completely, and I didn't really have any success with that. Um, and so I just kind of noticed if I slowed down my feeding significantly and just did like once a month for a couple
Mhm.
months, and 2 to 3 months, you're just once a meal. Then you kind of start pairing. Once you start seeing some activity, then kind of that's when the clock starts ticking for like the 3-4 week window. I want to let them breed as much as they can without food. So then when I start hitting her with food, hopefully she's already started building. Because I'm pairing them shortly after that meal. I'm feeding
Mhm.
both of them and giving them a couple days. That's what I did. I fed them all and then gave them 2 days and then put the males in, and then boom, they were just locked up from there. And
And
they typically start turning off food after they've started breeding. That's what
mhm.
my males do. They'll start breeding first and then they'll stop eating. Um, it's pretty fun. They'll start cruising their cages early. They'll be all over the place, urating on everything. I got some 3-year-old males that aren't going to get an opportunity to breed this year, and I feel bad for them because they've destroyed
Yeah.
their cage. Like I know that they're like I look at him every day. And I'm just like I wish I had a female for you because like I
Right.
know he'd probably be a great breeder. He's showing all the good signs, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But for the
So
most
with
part, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, so with that, with the females, like, do you wait till they're of year of age to, to breed, or do you wait? Do you weigh them? What do you do?
Yeah, so I don't weigh my chondros at all.
Hmm.
So I have a scale, and it's typically for the ball pythons because when I sell a ball python, everybody always asks, what's it weigh? Um, I don't know. I don't weigh them frequently enough to be able to tell you accurately what any of the ball pythons weigh right now. I usually have to just go grab the scale, put them on, and then I can tell you. But
Hmm.
I like to wait until my females are typically well over that 4 range, 4.5 to 5 years. 5 years
Yeah.
seems to be a really good mark. They tend to lay really good clutches. They tend to lay better clutches. They can handle the recovery a lot better. Um,
Mhm.
I have seen people breed females at 3.5 years old, and they've laid a clutch, close to their 4-year mark.
Right.
It can happen, and people have done it, and I'm sure that there's um, I don't know if other people, actively still do that. I like to wait until that 4.5, 5 year mark. That just seems to be when my females have done really well, is once they've gotten a little bit older.
Hmm.
So I haven't really stressed it. Once they've started going, then I'm pretty happy, but I like to see them around that 4.5 to 5 year mark. But most of my females are probably easily somewhere between 6 and 10 years old. And so most of them are imports, and most of them are well into adulthood now, and almost all of them are proven breeders except for I think two. Um, so they all got some significant age, and they're all well conditioned animals, and so they can handle the clutches at that point. The sarong female, I got her shortly after her color change. She was
Mm-hmm.
already pretty much green, didn't really change anymore. Um, and it took, up and she laid a clutch this year. She ovulated in June and laid, I believe, in July. I'd have to
Mm-hmm.
go back and check. But those Neos hatched in September. And so those are the ones that I've probably been posting the most is you'll see a lot of those yellow Neos on my page. I posted a lot of
Right.
those. And now that
So,
all of
so
them have been spoken
what was
for,
that, Aaron?
that was pure sarong. So that was
Okay.
a Bushmaster sarong male to an imported sarong female. Beautiful babies. They turned out really nice. She laid, I want to say 17, but I'd have to go back and look. It's been quite a few months, and I will admit, I'm a stoner, and so I smoke,
It's
and
okay.
I definitely forget a lot of things, and so I write a lot of stuff down,
It's
because that
all
helps. It
good, man.
makes my life a lot
Yeah.
easier. But I want to say she laid 17 eggs, and two were slugs. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think I had 15 in the incubator, and then that was a disaster clutch. So I ended up with 6 babies out of that clutch. I think I had 3 die in the egg. I want to say 1 or 2 molded, and then I had 3 die in the egg. 1 baby perfectly healthy hatched out, and this one was completely my fault, and I'm so mad at myself. But so I incubate in sim containers, and I
Mm-hmm.
use the sim container XL, and I love them. Shout out to sim container, they're phenomenal. They've hatched every single egg that I've gotten. I've hatched in a sim container. I love them. They work great. So they have the way the grates sit. If you have a sim container, they have 2 grates, and they have 2 little tiny spots that can basically are small enough for chondros to fit down, and they can get down into the bottom.
Yeah.
And I've had 3 sim containers that I've rotated religiously that have hatched out all my clutches my first 2 years. And I just got fortunate enough that clutches were laid in a span that I had no more than 2, I think, in use at a time. But anyways, so I bought a bunch of new ones, and I didn't set them up the way that I had set the other ones up, where
Mm-hmm.
I closed off those holes. And so I put those eggs in one that I had not closed up the holes. And so when they started hatching, um, I put the perch in there, and I'm thinking, okay, everything's cool. Didn't even think to check that spot, and come in the next morning, and there's one floating in the water underneath, and I was so mad.
Man,
So that was really frustrating, because that was probably one of the best looking babies in the clutch. I think that
it's
was the
always
like
this,
fully,
yo. It's
it's
always
always the best one. And
literally.
it would have been alive. Like I'm fully confident that thing would have hatched and been alive if I just, anyways, lesson learned. All those have been fixed and repaired. So anything
Mhm.
that goes in there, it's not going to happen again.
Got
It will not. Um, I've definitely learned from that mistake. Um, but yeah, so aside from that, I ended up with 6 healthy babies, and they're all doing phenomenal. They're all eating. They're all doing great. They're all now on unscented meals. Um, some of them take, a little more teasing here and there, but aside from that, they're all pretty much rocking and rolling. And so at this point, they're just kind of eating, doing their thing, and kind of just preparing for the next batch that's going to be coming. And um, luckily, I'm stocked up on pinkies now, and I'm ready to go. And we'll see what happens.
so walk us with female laying. Like, do you use a lay box? What do you use? Cameras and all that good stuff.
So I've used actually a couple different methods. So my very, very first time, I tried to use a bucket and had a hole drilled in it.
Yeah.
And female didn't go anywhere near the bucket. And so I was like, cool, that's not going to work. It was stressing me out. It was like a week before she laid, and I could tell she was searching because I check on them a lot, and I could tell she was looking and looking, and she wasn't finding a spot that she was comfortable in. There was nowhere that she was like trying to nest in. So I started kind of panicking, and I was like, all right, I got to fix this. So what I did is I ordered a guinea pig hide. And what it has like these metal bars through the wooden pegs, and so you can bend it and shape it to kind of fit in different areas. So I bought one of those to try it out and put a bunch of spag moss inside of it, and ended up working. She went right inside of it that evening and started nesting and checking it out, and I was like, cool, pretty confident that's where she was going to end up laying. And so that was the method that I've pretty much used. That's the method I currently just set her up with. And the Biak female, actually, this one was fun. So the first time I did the kind of half log method with spag moss, she laid inside of that, no problem. This time I just elected not to do the log, mainly because I was going out of town and I didn't want to have my buddy have to like pull anything, check anything to like irritate her, bug her, or potentially get him bit. You know, she's a big Biak female. She's got a big head, and so I know she would. She's got a set of teeth, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Tear him up.
And so I didn't want him to have to go through that, and I felt bad for him because I was like, listen, bro, if she lays, you're gonna end up having to FaceTime me and could end up having to pull these eggs. She's probably gonna bite you. Just to let you know, she probably will. She didn't when I pulled the egg. She didn't. But what I did is I set up ReptiChip or cocoa husk.
Yeah.
Can't remember. I think it was the Go for Cocoa is what I have, and so I put some of that, and I bred her. So she always loves this 55 quart tub rack system that I built back in 2020, and it's the same tub that I bred her in last year. I've tried to put her in 2x2 cubes. She doesn't do anything. She'll sit on the ground, and she will do it every single time. Every time I've tried to put her into one, I've changed it, add plants, anything you can imagine, she'll just sit on the ground. And I put her in this 55 quart tub, and she loves it. She thrives. She's obviously now has laid 2 clutches in that tub. And it's wild. Every other chondro I have would probably love to be in one of those bigger PVC cages, but she loves that. I will never get rid of that rack system, probably for just the purpose that if she ever comes back, you know, when she goes back to Dylan, you know, when these eggs hatch and he's able to take her home, and you know, that's one of the most important parts of, you know, breeding loans is it's not so much the success of the breeding, like that's the bonus. That's the winning part of the breeding loan. The part of winning that breeding loan, though, is to take somebody's animal, to breed it, care for it, bring it out of, you know, put it through the recovery stage and everything. Hang on, I see Angel. Shout out to Angel. I've been holding this 3D printed purple perch that he's designed and created for me, and I can't figure out the camera angle, so I apologize. But shout out to Angel. He's made all my 3D printed stuff. I love Angel. He's put a lot of work into it. He's made my Neo perches, my adult perch holders, my Neo snake hooks and everything. I use these for all the babies. I have a handful of them, and I love them. So he does some really great work. He's doing some new colors and new designs, and so shout out to Angel. I lost my train of thought, so I apologize.
Oh, no, you good. I need to hit up Angel too. I'll probably hit him up today or tomorrow.
He's
I want some perches that'll fit in my quart tub. Instead of like, you know what everybody use, they just break a little plastic hanger. I would rather have, you know, 3D perches, you know, that have the little twisties in it and stuff.
Hang on. I got you for a second. All right, Angel, you're gonna love this because I'm gonna take a moment. Sorry guys, I gotta share this awesome stuff because this is right up your alley.
Hey, if anybody needs one of those Chondro flags back there, my boy Dylan, these balls got some. He make them. So I got to get me one of those too. The Chondro flag in the back.
All right,
The
Angel.
warlord.
Yes, I'll bring that up here in a second. But so I apologize, Angel, because I know this is not as good as the videos that you send me and how you do things. But check this out. So this is the perch design. What I purposely use it for is to sit at an angle. The reason I do that is because I have found it is a lot easier to access multiple parts of that Neo when it's sitting more at an angle versus when it's sitting flat. Now I have Neo perches that sit flat. Doesn't mean they're not good. I've had animals thrive on them. They work great, but so far what I have found when I have my perches at an angle, and I'll bring out one of my Neo tubs here in a second, but when they sit at an angle like that, it has just made my life a lot easier establishing babies, getting them started. Now, as my babies have grown and I've put them into bigger, kind of more like 16 quart tubs, Angel has designed these beautiful contraptions where if you wanted to have it sit completely flat, he has got detachable legs that just snap
sick.
on and
That's
off.
crazy. Yeah.
And to where you can have it sit like that, or you can have two of them on and you can have it sit at an angle like that. So when you pull it out of the perch, you can still set it somewhere and it's sitting up, kind of doing its thing. So I love these perches. I use them for my Neos, my Neo tubs, my sub-adult tubs. They're phenomenal. He can obviously do other colors. All of mine are purple. I love the color purple that he picked. And so that's what all of mine are. And he's also made some incredible shipping designs too.
Here.
So
there
hit
goes
up Angel.
right.
He's the man. Yeah. He's got some phenomenal stuff. So shout out to Angel, and now Dylan's opportunity. So yes, as you mentioned, the Chondro flag. I got to shout out the homies. Like, I love the spotlight. I appreciate everybody showing up and, showing love and support, but showing love and support for the homies. Sorry, because my ring light's going to be terrible.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Nope. Yeah. I got to just kind of get the right angle. But yeah, he's made these awesome flags. And so if you want one, he can custom design them. He can make them, ship them out. The mayor, Bill Stiegel, I believe, got a custom design one that he posted about. Dylan does some amazing work, and he's got some more great stuff in store too. So, shout out to Dylan. And man, those guys live so close to each other, and they're such a dynamic duo, and the stuff that they've got working and cooking. And so it's a pleasure getting to spend time with them during the show weekends, and we get to hang out, and we all crash and spend those weekends together. And so it's awesome to see kind of what everybody does in their own way. And everybody's eating, everybody's growing, everybody's building, and everybody's kind of.
It's enough room to go around, man. It's enough room to go around.
The table's big enough for everybody, and so everybody's there. Everybody's eating. Everybody's got to learn, and we all have a wealth of knowledge to spread and share. And although I ramble a lot, so if you can pick up the bits and pieces of knowledge I spew out here and there, then sweet, you're fortunate. But the rest of you guys probably more nonsense.
Right. There go my mom and dad. Shout out to my mom. Happy birthday.
Shout out to your mom. Yeah, happy birthday. Shout out to moms. They really are always in your corner. And
literally anything I need.
I just got to spend Thanksgiving with my mom. They live in southern Utah, and I'm up in Portland, Oregon. And so I don't get to see him a whole lot. This was actually our first Thanksgiving together since 2018. So it's been a lot of years since I've had an opportunity to spend a holiday with them. And no, man, there's nothing like it. I love my mom, and my parents have just been huge supporters, and it's phenomenal just to be able to see. One of the first things my dad loves to ask about is, how are the snakes? What do you got going on with the snakes? Have you taken any pictures of them? How come you haven't texted them? So it's phenomenal that they love it because I love it, and I've always been that way as a kid. And we're just going through a bunch of pictures the last trip I was down there, just to see a bunch of the old stuff that I had, and I was like, wow, I can't believe then and now. It's just awesome to see the growth. And man, I really wish I had the stuff now back then. I'd be really cool.
Right, right.
But
But yeah, but walk us through how you set up your sim containers. You
yeah,
know,
so for a lot of years, or for the first few years, I did absolutely nothing to them. No holes, no nothing. I just put water in the bottom, sealed compartment. That's how I incubated my eggs. I didn't have any constant air exchange. What I did is I burped the lid once a week. I would take the lid off completely, wipe it down with the paper towel, wipe the sides of the sim container, glance at the eggs for a second, make sure everybody's looking
mhm,
good, close the lid, and then I always have another sim container stacked on top that has water in it. That water on top has helped reduce the condensation on the lid to where it's not building condensation, within 2 or 3 days, and you got potential drips of water. Um, that has always helped reduce my condensation, and so that's always the way I've done it. Um, and so that's how I've had them set up for a long time. This year, I had decided to drill one hole that was 1/16 into each end of the sim container, front and back.
mhm,
And currently they're covered with tape. But I drilled one hole because what I wanted to start doing is as I drop the temperature for especially the chondro eggs,
yeah,
um, I want to also bring in a little bit of air exchange.
yeah,
Because when you're dropping the temperature on day 40, a lot of them are pretty developed. Towards the end of the stage, I believe is when a lot of the colors come through. But a lot of the snake development part, we're dropping those temperatures and it slows it just a tad. But I do believe the oxygen and air exchange as they're in that final stage is important. And I'm learning that as I've kind of gone over the couple years because I've had a few clutches with underdeveloped babies. And I'm just feeling like I'm lacking certain areas of the sim container throughout the entire box. And so I'm hoping with that I find a little bit more balance, getting a little bit of air exchange in there, but not a lot where it's going to affect any humidity. I ran the tubs for a bit with the holes completely open, and I can still maintain between 98 and 100% humidity because I
yeah,
use water as my main substrate, so it's very humid in there. And
mhm.
yeah, it ends. We'll see how it goes. This is kind of my
And
first
do you
year
still
testing
keep
it
that?
out.
Do you still keep that sim container full of water on top of the eggs that you incubating in? On
Hmm.
top of the
Yep.
okay.
Yep. I just I don't fill it up as normally as I would with a clutch of eggs in there. Usually I'll fill that, about an inch of water or I don't know how
Mhm.
much is in there. Yeah, about an inch of water. And then the top one I put like maybe a half inch. Just a little bit of water where it just kind of helps reduce the condensation. I know there's probably some scientific term for it that I learned in
And
biology class, and I could not tell you what it is that helps reduce that condensation when it's the contact, but it has worked for me in my incubator. And so that's just the way I've done it. And that's how my first chondro clutch hatched. And since then, I'm like, this is how I'm doing it. Um,
yeah,
I am changing a little things, but I think the changes are more for improvements, not so much is, I'm struggling and needing to find a new method. I'm just trying to fine tune my method and seeing if I can just hone in a little bit more on the consistency throughout the tub versus where it seems I'm getting it in majority of it, but I'm losing it in other spots. So I want to try to find
sure.
that balance. So I did do a few minor changes to the incubator, but I incubate all the eggs at 86 degrees. Now they're
Mhm.
going to cook through at 86 degrees. And then on day 45, I'm going to drop them down to 85 degrees. And I think that's the method I'm going to do. I have incubated them at 87 degrees and then dropped them down to 86. Um, I don't know if that's maybe why I had a few dead in the egg last time. So I'm doing it just a little opposite of I'm going to cook them a little cooler, even if it goes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. And then on day 45, that's when I'm going to drop the temp. I don't think I'm going to do it on day 40. Why? I
And
couldn't tell you any logical reason. This is just kind of something that I've played around with looking at it going, I think with me cooking them a little bit lower temperature, dropping them a little bit later, I don't think it's going to be really that all big of a difference. Because really, I'm just trying to help them out towards the end where they start moving a lot and they start heating up. That's kind of where I'm honing in on a lot of temperature drops. I'm not doing it for their development whatsoever. I mean,
Hmm.
we're not dropping their temperature to, oh, this is going to help their spine or something like that. We're
Right.
strictly doing it because we don't want them to overheat in the egg, and then we have babies dead in the egg. That's really the whole purpose behind it. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's just kind of what I'm after is I don't think dropping them at day 40 is going to make any difference. Um,
Mhm. And
Honestly, maybe dropping it at day 40 gives them longer period of time of heating back up, and then you're
right.
still kind of hitting to warmer temperatures. Um, but dropping them down maybe 5 days ish later, by the time they're on day 51, 52, and it kind of balances itself out, maybe they're moving a lot more, they're going to be creeping back up to kind of where we dropped in the first place. That's what we're combating with, is hoping that we don't just go too high up and then we lose them.
Yeah. And what are these eggs resting on?
So they just sit on the crates that come from some container. Those little crates, they just sit right on those, and I separate
Gotcha.
all the eggs individually, and I do sit there with floss, and I sit there and I will go through every single egg and separate them and candle them and make sure they're set up for the best chance of success. You know, my very first clutch, I had eggs that were rolled that I had originally put
Oh
into the
yeah.
incubator upside down,
Hmm.
and I had COVID. So this is back in 21. So COVID was still pretty big. And I got COVID, and my work told me I had to quarantine. And there wasn't a lot of places to do that. But coincidentally, that's when my female decided it was the time to lay eggs, when I was super sick, really bad fever, super weak. And I tried to pull eggs. And just getting the eggs alone was hard enough as it was. And so by the time I got him into the container in the incubator originally, I was toast. I had to go lay down, and I ended up falling asleep, getting back up, and then coming and checking on him like 6-ish hours later, candled
Hmm.
all the eggs. And like the first thing you see is like bright yellow. And I was like, what? And like that didn't make any sense. So then I flipped the egg over, candled it, boom, there's all the veins, everything. And so I had done that to like 4 or 5 of the eggs and
Yeah.
flipped them all over. Every single one of them hatched. Every single one of them was perfectly healthy. All of them went on to, well, no, there are a couple of them that have passed in that clutch, but they all
Hmm.
hatched and ate and started to thrive, perfectly fine. So it was pretty crazy kind of experiencing that. And to have, you always hear when eggs roll, like they're toast, they're gone. Not
Yeah.
always. It just kind of depends on the
How many
circumstance.
how many survived from that? That clutch.
So out of the 13 that hatched, I lost the 2 twins,
Hmm.
and Dylan and I worked with this other Neo that was a runner, and I had been assist feeding it, and he really wanted to give it a shot, and so I was totally open for it, and so I sent him the Neo, and he tried to get it to eat, and he was assist feeding it for a few more months, and then I think finally it prolapsed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dylan. I believe it prolapsed, and then it just died after that. It was too big of a prolapse. It was not coming back from, and it was just it was set up for failure to begin with, just because the way it was acting. But out of that entire clutch, that was the only runner. It was the
Yeah.
only one. I think I got it to eat a pinky one time, and then it just turned into a runner. Or actually, yeah, I'd have to go back. I don't think it ate at all. Maybe Dylan remembers. I don't think it ate at all. I think I had to assist feed it almost the entire time. And so that was kind of frustrating. But aside from that, I did lose the twins, and then the rest of them all grew up. They all did really good. I sold 2 to Mike, and so he still has 2 of them. My buddy Sterling has 2 of them. I
Hmm.
think he ended up with 1.1 as well, and so
Oh,
that's
that's good.
4.
Everybody getting
Um,
lucky.
yeah, a few of them got pretty fortunate, and then I sold one locally at a show, and I don't know what happened to that one. The vendor just doesn't vend anymore. I don't know. I haven't seen her the last few shows, and I've been trying to find her contact so I could ask her, but her page just seems to be pretty low key now, and so I don't know if she's even keeping things or what happened. And then I know two other ones that I had sold ended up passing due to just different kind of circumstances. But then aside from that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. So you got a lot from that collection.
I think I'm missing one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to say there was 9 from that one.
Okay.
Oh no, I did sell one on Morph Market once. It was actually about a year ago now. Back last year in August, I posted a Jayapura female that I produced that was a red Neo, and put it on Morph Market, and I think she lasted 2 hours, and then boom, she was gone. Or it was the same day. Someone snagged her, and I believe she's doing well. I haven't been updated on her, so I'm not really sure what she's doing, but based on the collection or the setup that she was going to, is definitely someone that knows the Chondro community, because they know Focus Cubed, and they had, incredible stuff from David Brahms, and so I know they knew what they were doing. I just I haven't heard anything, and so sometimes that happens. You sell animals to people, and they're not on the internet. They don't post things like that. You just sometimes you don't hear about them, or sometimes you'll randomly get a call. The first Emerald Tree Bow I ever sold in 2010, 11, somewhere around there. My buddy Gary, and he just hit me up for the first, we had chatted here and there over the years, but he hit me up out of the blue, seeing if I knew any Emerald Tree Boas, and it was hilarious because he was one of the first people that ever bought something from me, and we've still been in contact over the years, and he's still coming back looking for stuff, and hell, that almost probably been about 15 years ago now, and so it's awesome. I love selling animals to where I can build those friendships, and I can stay in the loop and see how things are doing, and see what's going on, but that is also the reality of it too, is we do sell animals. Same with ball pythons and other species. Animals get sold, and we're like, hey, keep us updated, and they're like, all right, I'll definitely do it, and then nothing. You hear crickets, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. You hope that things are going well and that they still had a good experience, and aside from that, that's really all you can do. You can try to stay in contact as much as you can. I sold a ball python in 2021, and I still get texts from the person that bought it, and it's awesome hearing the updates. It's not even anything crazy. It's just, check out how cool he's doing. Check out how he looks. It's awesome seeing that. It's great to see your animals thriving in other people's collections.
Grow up and flourishing in somebody else's collection, and they can use it. That's the funnest part about it, honestly.
I know Bill probably gets it the most because he sells so many amazing animals. That's not a knock on you, Bill, but he's just sold some phenomenal stuff. And so when you look at other people and they have great things, but then when you ask Bill about it, I love his reaction, and his thing is, it puts an amazing animal in somebody else's collection. You get to live basically in somebody else's collection. They're always going to remember you for that animal. They're going to be grateful for you. They're going to tell people about you. And, there's nothing better than that, than personal word of mouth. Hearing from people that have worked with you directly. And I know I've definitely grown a lot over the years. I feel so terrible for people that worked with me even 10 years ago. When I was 20 years old, oh, dear God. I apologize to so many people that have dealt with me when I was younger, but I've learned a lot, and I've grown, and so I just try to treat people respectfully, and that was something I lacked a lot, and I still probably do that too much. I'm always like, I don't want to bug you, but can I ask you a question? And they're like, yeah, well, what is it? And it's just like, I'm sorry for taking your time, but that's just kind of the way I get sometimes too. But don't feel bad. Ask questions. You want to learn. Don't do what I do. Bug people.
That's what like I was saying. like I was saying, and on another episode, that's why all these mentors are here for. You got Bill, you got Alex Warren, you got Patrick Holmes, you got Mark Hager, the big Texans. Honestly, they're mentors to a
Yeah,
lot.
call
Uh,
anybody in Texas and they'll mentor you. I mean, Travis,
yeah.
Mongrel Reptiles, he's
Oh
doing
yeah, Trav for
phenomenal
sure.
things.
I gotta pierce a room from Trav.
Yeah,
You know,
like
if
if you
all
want to
of these.
breed chondros, just move to Texas. Like that is the
So that's why I'm
key to
moving
breeding
to.
chondro.
After retirement, retire. That's where I'm moving to.
No, Texas is awesome. It's got
Yeah.
a lot of amazing people in Texas, and I visited a few times, and I love it. It's phenomenal, and if I could, I would totally live in Texas too. It's definitely a great place. A lot of great
Yeah.
people.
So walk us through, Pippin Day. Like do you cut eggs or you just wait till all of them pip? What you do?
So I do both, kind of.
Hmm.
So if that makes sense. Um, I am terrible. So when I get eggs, it's
Hmm.
super easy. I love separating them, putting them in the containers. They go in the incubator. My incubator has a glass door so I can see into the eggs. I glance at them maybe once a day. I don't really look at them. I really am looking in the first couple weeks because I'm looking for mold. I'm looking for any discoloration. I'm kind of checking them within the first few weeks. Once I
Hmm.
hit my like 20-ish day mark, I forget about them. Then I don't even think about them. I'll go in there, wipe the lid once a week. Aside from that, I don't really think about them. And then once I hit like day 48, that's when it's awful. I am like glued to my incubator. I am staring at it. I just got my head on the glass with a flashlight and I'm just looking at each individual egg and I'm like, somebody move, somebody do
Right.
something. And the only reason I do that though is because last year, when my Jaya clutch hatched, I happened to grab the flashlight and look at the egg. And as I was looking at it, boom, slice. And I was like, oh my God.
It's time.
Unfortunately,
It's
that baby
time.
poked its head out and then died. But it was like, so now I have this like superstition of, okay, I got to be there with like, it's the moment I'm going to be standing there with the flashlight and I glance, I'm going to see something. That is yet to be the case. So,
Yeah.
what I end up doing for the Biot clutch, I don't think I pipped him. I don't think I pipped that clutch.
Hmm.
The Jaya clutch, which only had the 3 eggs, the one pipped, and it was early on day like 49, and that's early for my incubator.
Yeah.
And so I was
What
like,
kind
that's weird.
of you use?
So I have this beautiful converted, I think it used to be in a convenience store or a bar, but it's like this beautiful fridge with the glass door.
Sometimes
I
those
don't
be the best incubators. Those be
I
the
don't know
best
if
incubators. Yeah.
I don't know if you can
Exactly.
tell over. Can't really tell. But so I
But
converted that bad boy, and it's got 21-inch belly heat tape. Knock over the power cord. 21-inch heat tape on the back. It's got a pegboard as a false wall. It has the built-in shelves that came with it that are adjustable, and then aside from that, I have 2 computer fans in the top blowing air down, and I have 1 fan that's slightly bigger than a computer fan on the very bottom that's pushing air up. So it's just
mhm.
constantly cycling through. And then it's just filled with my sim containers, some other tubs that take up space, and then a crap ton of water bottles. A lot of
Yeah, they're
water
going.
bottles and like gallon jugs. And
Yeah.
I love to take up space with water bottles. It's my favorite pastime in the incubator. It's just if I see space, I can fit a water bottle there.
Yeah.
And
Well, a lot of times those are like the best, incubators to have because like, they so dialed in and if anything throw it off, you know how to fine tune it to get it right
mhm.
back.
Well, and that
Yeah.
was one thing that I experienced is because on the top, I have like about a foot where it was just open space. And I tried to like add tubs up there just to hope help kind of close it down, but I didn't have my fans all the way up there. So I think that kind of affected a little bit of my temps. My ball python eggs incubated and hatched perfectly fine. Like they all did good, and I still hatched chondro babies, and I just think I could do a little bit better. So I
Mm-hmm.
closed off that top compartment completely while I didn't have any eggs. So I made my egg compartment, my whole incubator compartment a lot smaller, much easier to maintain, keep consistent. So I think with the improvements that I did to it, it's all just going to help make things better.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm just completely destroyed it and I'm going to have horrible success and then have superstitions that I changed the incubator and that's it. And luckily, it's all capable of being ripped apart and back to its original state if I need to. So nothing is permanent. So if it ends up not going good, I guess I can always go back to square one and just kind of try to fine tune some other things. But I think it's going to be okay. So far, all my incubators have just been homemade stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wine coolers, anything with a glass door. I'm like, and that can be sealed. I'm like, I can make that into an incubator. And so luckily it's worked out and I'm fortunate with it, but not to mention those Wilbank incubators though, those things are freaking sweet. With those temperature zones. And
Yeah.
I will admit, if I had the extra cash just laying around and I was like, you know what, I want a Wilbank incubator, I would probably go that direction if I was going to buy one commercial wise.
Mm-hmm.
I will always do the homemade if I can, because there's also something different about making something and then something being successful with it. Like building
Definitely.
that rack and having a freaking green tree python lay in it twice.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Right.
The Sarong female, like she's in a PVC cage now, but she was in a 90 quart tub rack that I had made. And I completely took that one down because I had ordered some PVC cages and I needed some space and to do things. But she laid, bred, and she was thriving in that rack system for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was just kind of cool. Whenever I make something, a lot of my ball python stuff, I used to have a nice ARS rack, but I ended up downsizing it to more of the stuff that I made because I don't know, there's also just some weird pride of I made that and now
Yeah.
something is like they're thriving and breeding and laying eggs and reproducing what they would do in the wild. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm at least making, I'm matching some type of requirements that they need that to be able to thrive and feel like they can reproduce and pass on genetics. And so that's also just kind of a cool feeling that I really enjoy is being able to just make something and then seeing something happen with it and just kind of getting that gratification. Don't get me wrong, I have ordered PVC cages that have come fully assembled with panels installed and all. And I love those moments when I could just cut that box open and just plug
Yeah.
it
Just
in,
yeah.
burn the heat panel, let it settle, do its thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then clean it out. And then we're ready to rock, install perches, get things set up, and get it ready to go. Um, I love those moments too. Do not get me wrong. But I like having that fine medium. I like to do both and to be able to experience that. But um, my shout out to Dylan. He's got some interesting stuff coming. I don't know if he's told people, but pretty soon my room will be pretty decked out. We'll just leave it
Oh
at
yeah,
that.
for sure.
It's
Hey,
it's
I,
going to
I
be a
know.
lot of fun.
know.
Yeah. So
Hey, man,
um,
Dylan just, hey man, great dude all around. He just want to see people win. I love
and
him.
he just got these Borneo earless monitors.
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
those things are freaking
thanks.
sweet. I was
Yeah,
there when he bought them. I'm like, dude, I can't believe he got them. They're so wicked. I just saw the setup that he's designing. No, I can't wait to see what he does with that. That is just such a cool stuff. And he's also he's got a few other projects going on that he hasn't posted a whole lot about. But
yeah,
yeah, great guy. He does a lot of awesome stuff. We've had a lot of great projects and we've done a lot of good work together. And so it's been a lot of fun working with him.
oh,
Um,
yeah. So let's
there's definitely
let's
somebody you want in your corner.
yeah, for sure. So let's go into establishing neos. What you doing? Are you feeding before the shed or after shed? You know, um,
Um, yeah, so establishing neos, I always wait until after shed. I've never really. Could they eat before shed? Probably. Um, I always just notice that the longer you wait on the animals, the better reactions I get.
Hmm.
I do not wait as long as Ryan Young. I know sometimes he will wait, I think around like 3-ish weeks, 2 to 3 weeks is sometimes what he says after they
Right.
hatch before he even starts feeding trials, maybe even a month. Um, I usually typically like to wait until they shed, and then I typically give them about a week after.
Hmm.
After that, then I know they've absorbed every bit of yolk that they did in the egg. Their stomachs are pretty empty or basically empty. That's also when I'm noticing my neos are doing actual hunting behavior. I've caught neos before their first meal, caught alluring and wiggling their tails. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't see that right after they shed. I see that a little bit down the line. So I like to
Hmm.
wait a little bit. Now, if there's one that's showing me that behavior right after shed, 100%, I'll feed it. I'll attempt
Yeah.
to try to feed it. Um, but more often than not, I like to wait a week. And then after that, that's when I start my feeding trials. What I
Hmm.
do is I do the frozen thawed pinks and I use chick down as my scent. And so far, every single neo that I've attempted, except for that one runner, has established on pinkies.
Yeah.
And then after about a handful of pinkies, I'm getting them to pinkies with fur, and I'm starting to get them to meals that are just a lot more better for them. So by their
Hmm.
like 10 to 15th meal, they're eating pretty decent size, almost fully furred mice. That are still tiny.
Yeah.
I have access to fuzzies that are almost the size of pinkies, just a little bit bigger. So after a
Hmm.
handful of meals, I can get, some nice, basically fuzzy mice that are tiny, tiny, that I can get to my neos pretty quickly. So they're growing and they're developing and establishing really well. Um, Now, that is not knocking anything as far as attempting with other stuff. I am fully open to try out with like say geckos, chicken gizzard, what the mayor does. The quail. There's a lot of great options out there. I just
Hmm.
haven't run into that yet. Once I run into something that is at the point that I've tried everything and it just will not eat, I will 100% look at other options. I've just been fortunate enough that everything that I've hatched that has thrived for me has established on pinkies and with chick down.
Yeah.
That's just what has worked for me. That's what they like. Um,
So you never had like problematic feeders or anything like that?
no, I've had problematic feeders. I've had neos where they'll eat a full pinky and then not want to eat and then shed
Hmm.
after only one meal and then still not want to eat. And so what I do with a lot of neos that are difficult feeders, if they're striking, I can work with that. So what
Hmm.
I will typically do is if I can get them striking at stuff, I'll cut a pinky head and I'll use the little tweezers and I'll get them and they'll get pissed off enough and they'll strike at it and bite it and then they can't spit it out. Now, while they're working on that pinky head, I have another full pinky ready to go that I'm picking up with the tongs. And as it starts eating that pinky head and start working it down,
Yeah.
I just sit there with the pinky and it will just start the train and it will then take the pinky, other pinky, and then it'll start to wrap it. And it seems to work with me every time.
Literally.
That they'll start to eat the pinky head. I follow it with a full pinky, and you can just use a tweezer so it's still on the perch. You're not doing a whole lot of hands on. I've had to take neos out where I've done that where I've got a pinky head in and I've held it on my finger and it starts working it down and then I've had to sit there and try to it's been a pain in the butt. There's a few of them that I've had to sit there and you're just sitting there trying to find the head as it's moving around. And there's some that
That.
it just won't work. And I've had neos where I've tried to assist feed a full pinky and I get the head in the mouth. And as soon as it bites down, boom, it wraps the entire body. And then I just have it sitting in my palm as it's wrapped up this pinky and it's eating the pinky And then usually after 1 or 2 times of having to do something like that, they'll eat. I can get them to. I've been fortunate enough to at least get mine to eat after that.
And
I haven't had.
where do you get your supply of rodents from?
So I've done a few things. As far as pinkies go, Rodent Pro has always kind of been the constant supply of the sizes that I need. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had any issues with them. I know there's a lot of stuff with that. I have no problems with Cold Blooded Cafe. I've tried out Cold Blooded Cafe. I just never see the size that I need whenever I needed them. They've typically been either out of stock or didn't have it, and so that it's just bad timing. When I need Neos, a lot of other people do. If you look at kind of how the chondro breeding goes, a lot of people are getting stuff similar to the same time, and so a lot of that stock is getting sucked out. Rodent Pro has just definitely been the stock for as far as mice goes for me. As far as pinkies, and then the pinkies with fur, they've just always had the supply whenever I've needed it available. So they made it easy where I just order through them, and then I stock up and I have that, and I just ordered a new order from them for pinkies and pinkies with fur, so that way I have stuff ready for the next clutch, and
Definitely.
probably the clutch after that, and then I'll need to restock again and just be prepared, because there's too many times that I've had clutches come in or eggs on the ground, and I'm like, I don't have anything for these babies, and then I got to stress about that. So I like to be prepared for stuff.
Your feeding routine, what you feeding, like what, every 4 or 5 days or every 6 to 7?
So when they first hatch out, typically about every 4 days.
Yeah.
James Opdal kind of said it right, is, they need repetition. When they
Mhm.
first hatch out, Neos really need repetition, because let's not sugarcoat it. They're pretty dumb as babies. They're not the sharpest tools in the shed, because we're not feeding them what they're naturally hatching and wanting to smell and go, okay, I'm ready to eat that. If we had that, they'd probably be a lot better and a lot easier to work with. But unfortunately, they're pretty dumb babies. They're
Right.
not very smart. They will kill themselves and drown themselves and do other things. And but I lost my train of thought. Hang on, it's going to come back. Still in the brain. Um,
It happened to me with every episode too. So
almost every time, it always happens to me. I got an
I
airhead.
know.
Can't remember where I was going with it, but God damn it.
Yeah,
Nope, I can't remember what I was on. I was probably
it's
something
all good. It'll come back to
nonsense.
you.
It will. It was probably some
So
nonsense.
do you use any chicken gizzard or anything like that? Crested gecko?
I haven't yet. I'm not opposed to it. I am open to using stuff like that, but I just haven't. I've just been fortunate enough that chick down has been what's worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty aggressive, I guess I would say, when it comes to tease feeding my Neos. I'm not afraid to tap them on the necks, smack them in
Right.
the face with the pinky, and really get their attention.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't realize when you're tapping them, especially like on the side of the neck area,
Yeah,
if
for
you
you.
watch their reaction, they'll turn with their mouth open and they immediately want to bite and grab and turn.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of people will tap them like in the middle of the bodies, and you might get a reaction of them being like pissed off, but there's a few spots when you're feeding Neos that they're going for. They're wiggling their tails because something's going to go for it. So when you're tapping around their tail, they don't like it, and they start flipping around really quick to see what's going on, and they're typically biting, especially when they're babies, and
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to establish them. Or you're tapping them on the side of the neck, sides of the mouth, anything that's going to make them want to turn and kind of twist with their mouth open, you're going to get a reaction of them wanting to wrap and coil. And so there's important parts of the body that you need to be showing attention to. Um, I'll tap them in the middle of the body when I want them to wake up and be like, okay, now I'm pissed. That's how I get one of theirs attention, is I'm tapping down there. And
Yeah.
then when I got them facing at me, then I'm tapping at their tail and they're watching me. And then they're getting mad, tongues flicking, everything's going crazy. And the
Yeah.
more often than not, they'll either turn and try to strike at the pinky, or if they don't turn and they just look down at you as you're tapping and they kind of lunge at you.
Yeah.
Right after that, I usually tap them right on the side of the mouth, and boom, they want to bite it and grab it.
Yeah, I think,
So there's just
just I think, ways that ways that you feed and everything deals with the ways, establishing the best neo, honestly, because
Mhm.
everybody don't eat the same way. Everybody don't have the same techniques,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Oh, I try to
It,
take videos when I establish a baby, at least one or two for each baby,
mhm,
because typically when people have issues, when you sell an animal, and the first thing they go is, "Hey, it's not going to eat." I haven't had a lot, but I've had a handful where you sell something, it gets to someone's house, they don't want to eat. It
mhm,
happens. And having kind of videos of certain animals, specific animals that you can send to somebody and say, hey, so when this was being difficult or this was the reaction it's doing, say it's biting and dropping. This was
mhm,
something similar that I was experiencing. So I recorded it to show what I did to kind of help reduce that activity, to kind of help revigorate it to go, I want to eat this. Um, and so I try to do that with babies so that I can help people out. And I've sent people videos and they're going, oh my God, that was so helpful. They tried that. It works. Baby starts thriving. Usually those first couple meals are the hardest when they get to a new place. But then once they get those under their belt, they seem to take off. It's just those first couple hurdles are the hardest, and having that proof, not proof, but really it's just that having that ammo in your pocket to be able to provide to somebody really helps out. And to be honest, it is a pain holding a phone and trying to, if I had like a GoPro on my chest, I'd have so many videos posted, but
oh
trying to
yeah,
hold my phone and I'm sitting there
man.
teasing and focusing on the baby. By the time I'm looking at the video, I'm like, I just recorded the ground. Like, that's a cool paper towel.
Hey, literally,
Look how nice that is.
I was doing that last night. I had somebody on FaceTime. I was showing them how Neo's ate and everything, and it's kind of hard to hold a phone and make
Hmm.
sure the Neo get what it needs.
Oh, I have
Um,
so many videos and photos in my phone where I'm like, I can't believe I got that in the angle, and that's not what I was going for, or it was just ridiculous. Yeah, it goes that way, and so I would probably have so much more footage out there. I love sending people stuff that helps them, and even if it's not even my animal, if they having some type of tendency, you might be able to help them with, and regardless of the breeder, there's a lot of great breeders, but um, it's just awesome to be able to help people, and you got to, if you got information that can be helpful, it doesn't do anybody any good holding it to yourself. Um,
literally, like I said.
it just doesn't.
Hmm. Um, let's walk to. Oh, how do you handle prolapse?
So funny thing, I've honestly never experienced a prolapse in my collection.
Hmm.
So I don't really know. I haven't had to deal with it. I think probably what I would end up doing um, is probably jumping back into the Facebook forums, and I'd be Googling and searching prolapse in the forums, and I'd be reading what everybody did, how
Hmm.
they did it, and probably be doing something similar to that.
Sugar water,
Um,
sugar water. You
yep,
just put it on the cloaca and wrap
yep.
it up, and it'd be good.
Yep, and so that's probably the first thing I would do is grab sugar and water, and that'd be my first reaction. And while that was doing its thing, I'd be Googling and probably reaching out to people. And I say that, you know, very humbly. I'm very fortunate that I have not experienced a prolapse in my collection. I have experienced egg-bound female chondros that have died a few days after laying their clutch. Um, that was awful and traumatic, but I have not had a neo, an adult, anything of that sort prolapse on me to the point, where I've had to intervene. I've had animals take really big poops, and you look at them and you're like, That's suspicious. You
Right.
come back, 15 minutes later, you give them a moment to kind of do their thing, move around. Um, it seems to go back. And so it depends. I just haven't had a scenario where I'm like, okay, I need to intervene. I need to jump in. Whether they've pooped and it's corrected themselves after moving around and kind of getting their muscle tissues. I
Gotcha.
don't know. I'm not trying to do anything differently than a lot of people. I feed my animals pretty similar to a lot of people, about roughly every 2-ish weeks. And, I probably feed maybe a little less than a lot of people. I know I do with the ball pythons. Like, I don't feed ball pythons weekly. I feed babies.
Mm-hmm.
Babies I feed weekly, but most of the ball pythons, once they hit a certain point, they're getting every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Um,
like
I'm
that
not
700,
racing.
800 gram wall.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not racing to get them as big as I possibly can.
yeah, to produce the
They yeah,
next.
they're just growing as they grow, and when they're ready to breed, they're ready to breed.
Yeah.
I'm not rushing anything, and I know in the wild it's definitely not getting the meal count that I'm giving it, and so I try to do a little healthy mixture of both, where I know they're getting more than they would in the wild, but I don't want to give them so much that really it ends up just being very unhealthy.
Yeah.
You feed your animal too much, you're not doing it any favors. You're just it's like eating McDonald's every day. If you ate
Mhm.
McDonald's for 30 days straight, didn't somebody do that and it like
You gonna
basically
be,
killed him or something?
yeah.
Just about. Like, if you think about it, look how much strain it's putting on, organs and things like that. Like, um,
Yeah.
think about it, when a snake eats a meal, its organs, what it's not double, it's like they quadruple in size to
Mm-hmm.
be able to help digest that meal. Can you imagine the strain if your organs were quadrupled in size, multiple, like every single week? Your heart, your stomach, everything was just massive because you needed it to work that hard. I don't think that's necessarily good for the animals. I don't think giving your chondro female a giant medium rat is also the solution, and giving it a big meal, and that's a lot and a big strain on their bodies too. And
Yeah.
so I think, we miss a lot of that stuff too, when you see people wanting to just get something as big as you possibly can. It's great when they get to an adult size and they're able to breed, but doing it a year faster is you just asking yourself for failure. You typically get slugs. Um, your female doesn't recover right. There's so many other things, and that's not chondros alone. It's just every species.
Yeah. For
So many
sure.
people are racing to the next thing, and
Racing to the
success.
bottom.
Yeah, that's all it is you're just racing downhill.
Yeah.
You're not going fast going uphill, that's for sure.
For
It's
sure.
a
For
steady
sure.
climb, and you got to take it step by step. If you're going
Mhm.
fast, then you're not going the right direction.
Yeah. So let's say you have a problematic feeder. It's not eating pickies, but it take a gizzard or anything, crested geckos. Will you see an issue with feeding it gizzards or crested geckos for, a good maybe 5, 6 months constantly?
um, I don't know if it would be anything negative for that long. Because, like, I know gizzards and like geckos, yes, you could probably get away with geckos because that
Hmm.
is kind of a more sustainable meal.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure the chicken gizzards would be a sustainable meal. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know any, like, not scientific, but I just don't really know any history. The whole gecko feeding is pretty new. Um, I know people have trialed and errored with it with leopard geckos, but in the grand scheme of the community, gecko feeding, crested gecko babies, that's not something that was around when I was, even in 2011, 2012,
Yeah.
2013, researching and going on the MVF forums. People weren't talking about feeding these things. That was not under any type of discussion. They were maybe trying to find other things, and leopard geckos were kind of the more common species at the time, and then
Yeah.
crested geckos blew up. Um, so
Yeah. I
honestly,
think
it's pretty new.
I forgot his last name. Kenny was, the first to experiment with
Yeah,
it.
I think Kenny Richichi was
Yeah.
feeding, I think, a leopard geckos.
Yeah,
Um,
it crested.
and crested? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Kenny would probably be the best person, but as
Hmm.
far as to know if it would sustain that long, because I don't really know. I've never really tried to use any of that stuff. Like I could see it for maybe 5 to 10 meals. You're trying to get it going, get it back established, and getting some nutrients. But then your goal would be to try to get it to something that would be more natural, like its
Yeah.
siblings, whether that be fuzzy mice, hopper mice, whatever it is at the size at that time. Um, so I don't know if it would be anything bad, or I don't really have anything negative towards that. Um,
I think
it
they
could be
need,
very possible.
yeah, I think they need that the feathers, the bone from the
I think
chicken, or
the
not chicken, from
I
the
think the go ahead.
from the rodent or whatnot. I believe they do need that, something to break it down a little bit more. You
I mean,
pink.
I would say maybe the chicken gizzard would probably be the only meal that maybe might not be sustainable for six to
Yeah.
7 months.
Hmm.
Because it is better than a pinky, but it still lacks a lot
Yeah.
of things that those older mature items do. The geckos, they have those things. They have bones, they have scales, they have other forms of nutrients that is going to go to the snake. Chicken gizzards, I 100% see that as a successful way to get them going and to help problem feeders. That might be something that might not be sustainable for that long, because yes, you might be getting them certain nutrients that they need, but then they're not getting the calcium development that they need. They're going to start getting some now there could be calcium in it. I don't know the study on it. I haven't looked at any of the charts for the chicken gizzards. That to me though, as a meal, it doesn't seem like that would be sustainable for 6 to 7 months. It might
Yeah.
keep it alive, but you should be doing the chicken gizzards with something else.
Yeah.
Like I would
Exactly.
do a
Like,
chicken gizzard with a crescent gecko if it was
I
that
know
problem.
Bill alternate every week or so with rodents, then chicken gizzard, rodent, chicken gizzard, or
Which, when you're doing it that way, I think that's the healthy balance, because they still
yeah.
need to be getting other things. So,
Hmm.
as a sustainable meal, that would probably be the only one that I would be like,
Yeah.
you'd probably end up just getting animals that wouldn't develop right, and I think you'd probably see potentially prolapse issues in that, because they also need muscle development to keep that tissue in.
Exactly. That's what I was
If they
thinking.
got no muscle mass, if they got none of that, um, what's keeping the insides in when they're pushing and kind of pushing things out?
Yeah.
Um,
You're gonna end up with
and yeah, it ain't gonna be pretty. And
a
so, like with my neos, as soon as they're out of the egg, they'll all be fresh out of the egg, up on their perch and all their big groups. The one thing that I do is I take a spray bottle, all of them, and I'm spraying all of them directly. Um, and I'm
hmm
not using water sitting inside the incubator. At this time, it's just sitting in the room. So this
room
room
temp
right now
water.
is 78, I think, in here right now. It's going to drop to about 77, 76.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's sitting about 78-degree water. And when I spray them, all of them tense and they're flexing muscles. And to me, I think that's really important when they first hatch, to feel their bodies all just flex and tense and just kind of get blood pumping through their bodies. Um, I don't know. I've done that with all my babies when they first hatch out, and I still spray all of them directly when they're neos. I want them flexing. I want them to work their muscles and do things, because I can't take them out and exercise them a lot. They're very, very fragile, and how we know. And so the other forms of doing that, well, when you spray them directly with water, and I know that's contradictory to what a lot of people do. Well, don't blast them with cold water. Yeah, you're going to have problems. But
Yeah.
if you have like a reptile room or a comfortable room, even 75-degree water, you're not going to kill them with 75-degree water.
Hmm.
Um, that they drop to those kind of temperatures and cooler in the wild. So that's not going to do damage. What you want is, you just want the body reactions. You want the muscles to flex. You want the blood to flow. Um, that's especially when they fresh out of the egg. They're very weak. They're very tired. a lot of that, when they can flex and feel their body moves and blood starts flowing and doing what it needs to do, they start moving around the next day and they're cruising and they're looking good, and I spray them daily. And so I think that's also just helpful development in the beginning, is just making sure that their muscles are working right.
Yeah. So Tuck, we coming up on 2 hours. Tell everybody, we definitely gonna have you back for a part 2, because this is too much to cover in one episode for about 4.5 hours. So,
I know I talk a lot.
oh no, that's fine, bro. Hey, it's your show, it's your episode. Do what you do. But we definitely gonna have you back, early next year, maybe mid next year for part 2. And
yeah, I mean,
that's
we'll shoot for like sometime after like beginning of February, because then that clutch will be hatching, so we can do a rendezvous when that clutch hatches out, and then we can do something around that line or something like that. That'd be cool.
Tell the people where to reach you at, man.
So the best place to probably reach me is Instagram, Tuck_Purple Rain Reptiles. That's just kind of where I post all my social media. I have TikTok, but I do not post there. I mainly have it so when people send me reels, I can watch them. Aside from that, I don't really post on it. I had 2 videos hit 160,000 views, and I got off for like a month. And when I got back on and saw that, I was like, man, I had an opportunity to be popular, and I failed. But no, aside from that, Instagram. I know I need to post more, but Instagram's the best place to find me. I do have Facebook too, but I really just use that kind of for family and friends that still need to be in contact, that don't want to follow my reptile page. So if you want snake stuff, it's definitely my Instagram. I have Morph Market, and I have stuff to post on there, and I'm terrible at selling things because I enjoy keeping it. And
your order. Just like Chuck.
and right now, I don't have any chondros available. I'm very blessed that the ones that I had posted on my Morph Market this last month were have sold, and they're going to be shipping out, towards the nice weather after the holidays, when we get some good breaks, and we'll get some babies into people's collections, and so really looking forward to it. But yeah, I have a couple clutches coming up. I got one in the incubator and one that's gonna hopefully drop eggs sometime within the first week of January. So I don't know how much I'm going to let go depending on how things go, but stay tuned. The Jaya stuff, you're going to have to really fight me tooth and nail if you want any of that, because that clutch is going to be pretty special. But aside from that, I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff there, and starting off the ball python season for those interested in ball pythons. I work with a lot of the Reaper puzzle stuff. I'm trying to shoot for Grim Reaper puzzles, and I'm working on some Reaper Het puzzle stuff this year, and hopefully the first Grim puzzle. And so that's kind of a project I really like to do, and so I'm hoping to hit some stuff with that and some other things. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate everybody that tuned in. And I haven't seen any of the comments, but I appreciate everybody's love and support. And
I was pulling them up. It's on the screen.
No, I've seen a ton of them. I'm just sitting far enough away where I can't read it, and so I'm like, I see the comments and I see hearts, and it's awesome, and I love the support. But I'm just sitting too far. If I get closer, I'm going to be blind. I got this ring light, and it's awesome, and it works, but I can't sit too close, so I'm going to be seeing a circle for the next few hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you backstage for about 3 minutes, and just hold on real quick.
Yep, I got you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Chondro Corner on Monday night. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for your support. If anything, if you have any issues or anything, just hit people up, man. That's what these mentors here for. All that good little stuff. One more time. Available chondros in our community, bro. One more time. So we got Mikey Marsh, M&M Chondros. Just look them up on Instagram and you'll find them there. I'm actually picking up a Neo from this clutch right here. I pick them up tomorrow, so it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna do an unboxing probably on Instagram or TikTok. Follow me, Vibe with Ro. on Instagram and my TikTok. I'm doing an unboxing maybe on both. So yeah, these are the chondros, well, the neos that's available. Like I said, the sire is a Arfax sarong to sarong. And then the dam is a pure cyclops. Then next we have Ruben. You know, his clutch is a pure cyclops clutch, and he have one neo available right now. A pretty good price too, man. Pretty good price. Hit him up. And then we got my boy Chuck Chill Chondro. So we have a mandatory to an a root. Yeah, that's the clutch. These are the neos, and make sure y'all tap in with them if you need anything. But yeah, thank y'all for y'all support. Like I said again, thank you for everything that y'all do. You know, stay dangerous out there, and you know, hey, rap.
Chondro Corner where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind.
From the shadows we move, striking out bright. In every twist we find the light. Breeding the best, gotta have patience in this game. Chondro Corner where we make our name. Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner. Chondro Corner where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind. Every scale tells a tale, every clutch a dream. Working the grind, we reign supreme. In every corner, the potential's real. Chondro Corner, where we seal the deal. Chondro Corner, 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 Chondro Corner. When we scale tells a tale, every clutch a dream. Working the grind, we reign supreme. In every corner, the potential's real. Chondro Corner, where we seal the deal. Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let the passion flow. Chondro Corner, watch the future shine. Every scale a story, one of a kind. Chondro Corner, where we rise and grow. Twist and turn, let